Part 3. The Statutory System of Education. The statutory system of public education shall be organized in 3 stages, that is to say, A. Primary education, which shall consist of full-time education generally suitable to the requirements of students who are not over the age of 12 years and, for the purposes of this Act, shall include education at a pre-primary school. B. Secondary education, which shall consist of full-time education generally suitable to the requirements of students who have attained the age of 11 years and are not over the age of 19 years, and C. Tertiary education, which shall consist of I. Full-time education other than primary or secondary education, 2. Part-time education, and 3. Leisure time occupation in organized cultural available in pursuance of any provision made under this Act for further education for students who have attained the age of 15 years. 8-L. The minister may from time to time divide the island into such educational districts as he may think fit, and shall establish for each educational district an educational board. 2. The provisions of the second schedule shall have effect as to the constitution of each educational board, and otherwise in relation thereto. 3. Each educational board shall have, in addition to the powers conferred upon educational boards by this Act, such powers and duties as may be prescribed. 4. Proceedings against any person for an offense against Section 21 or 22 or 23 or 24, or for the recovery of any penalties under any of the said sections, may be instituted by the Educational Board for the area in which the offense is committed. 5. In any action or other legal proceedings brought against any member of an educational board in respect of any act done in pursuance or execution or intended execution of this Act, the plaintiff shall not recover, unless he alleges in his pleading and proves at the trial that such act was done either maliciously or without reasonable and probable cause. Management of public educational institution. 9-1. Every public educational institution shall be administered A. By a board of management, which shall consist of not less than 3 persons appointed in the prescribed manner and shall have such powers and duties as may be prescribed, or B. Where the minister so directs, in accordance with the provisions of a scheme approved by the minister. 2. Every scheme which provides for the management of a public educational institution shall contain provisions for the constitution, powers, and duties of a board of management for the educational institution to which the scheme relates, and shall also provide for the keeping and audit of the accounts of such board in a manner satisfactory to the minister. 3. The minister may take such action as he may consider necessary whenever there is serious failure in the successful working of any public educational institution and the board of management appointed under this section has failed within a reasonable time after having been required by the minister so to do, to provide a remedy for such failure.
Minister's power to alter endowments. 10. The minister may, for the purpose of rendering the endowment of any endowed educational institution most conducive to the advancement of education, make schemes A. Altering and adding to any existing trusts, directions and provisions which affect such endowment, and the education promoted thereby. B. Making new trusts, directions and provisions in lieu of any existing trusts, directions and provisions which affect such endowment and the education promoted thereby. C. Altering the constitution, rights and powers of any governing body of such endowment. D. removing a governing body of such endowment and establishing a new governing body with such powers, as he thinks fit. Certain educational interests to be protected in schemes. 11. Where the minister makes in relation to an endowed educational institution any scheme which abolishes or modifies any privileges or educational advantages to which a particular class of persons is entitled, whether as inhabitants of a particular district or otherwise, the minister shall in such scheme have regard to the educational interest of such class of persons. 12. A scheme shall not be made under this Act interfering with the governing body of any endowed educational institution if such governing body is subject to the jurisdiction of the governing body of any religious denomination unless the governing body of such educational institution assent to the scheme. 13. 1. A draft of every scheme proposed to be made under this Act shall be prepared by such persons and in such manner as the minister directs and shall be published in the Gazette together with a notice that any person interested in any endowment or educational institution affected by the scheme may, if he desires to make any objections to the scheme, send his objections in writing to the minister within 2 months from the date of such publication. 2. The minister shall consider every objection sent to him pursuant to the provisions of this section, and thereafter may by order approve the scheme with such modifications, if any, as may appear to him to be necessary, and as from such date as he shall specify in the order the scheme shall have effect accordingly. 3. Every such order approving a scheme made under Section 10 shall be subject to affirmative resolution and, when submitted to each chamber of the legislature, shall be accompanied by the scheme. 4. The minister shall cause a copy of every scheme approved under this Act to be recorded in the Record Office. 14. Repealed by Act I-9 of 1980. Loans to aided educational institutions 1980 S. 9A and B. 15. 1. Where the Board of Management of any aided educational institution requires a loan for the purpose of improving or extending the buildings of the institution or erecting a new educational institution in substitution for any discontinued educational institution, the Board of Management may apply to the minister for a loan from the government. 2. If upon consideration of an application for a loan under this section, the minister is satisfied that the purpose for which the loan is required ought to be carried out and that the amount required by way of such loan may properly be obtained by borrowing, he may arrange to obtain a loan from the government.